Would you guys rather hear from Dre today?
Thanks, Coach, for a few minutes. We'll take you. Ross Martin, go ahead.
Hey, Coach Bateman, y'all moved, or I guess you moved Ja'Cory Conley back to nickel against Duke and played Cam Kelly a lot at safety, and Don Chapman kind of moved around. I was wondering why the move. Is it permanent with Conley to nickel, and kind of what else you liked and saw from your secondary against Duke?
Yeah, so there's a lot there. So number one, I think Cam Kelly was playing really well, and I wasn't playing him enough. And I just, after the Georgia Tech game, I just said I got to play him. He deserves to play. He's one of our best players. And it was just hard because him and Conley were primarily playing the same position. And so there was part of that. The other part of it was, against Duke, we knew the nickel was going to need to be involved in the run fit some. And that's a strength of JQ's. We thought, we actually thought, with pressure would be a part of it too. And we kind of got away from that a little bit, but so pressure, we just felt like that was better. And then with Don, Don is a, man, I mean, he's really the unsung hero of that whole thing, right? Because we moved him out to play corner because, with Storm not going, we just felt like we needed a more veteran guys as the third option out there. And I thought Don played really well. So, Don Chapman played 4 positions Saturday, right? He played both corners, nickel, and he played will linebacker in one of our 6 DB deals. So, I was really proud of those guys. I thought they played well.
Is this a situation where it kind of per game basis with where Conley is and where Cam is, or you think playing Cam more at safety kind of moves Conley into nickel?
I think it'll be getting those 2 guys in the best position, talking about Cam and JQ, to help us. And I think sometimes it'll be JQ back at safety more, and sometimes it'll be JQ at nickel more. And I think as Storm gets healthier, it'll probably impact that a little bit too. So I was proud of how they handled it really well. JQ played almost all his snaps at nickel, but we were ready for him to go in at safety if we needed him to. And Gio Biggers played really well. Gio Biggers played free and bandit and played really well. So I was proud of all those guys.
Andrew Jones.
Hey, Coach. Max said after the game that you guys used a lot more press coverage Saturday than you have. What led to that move, and how did it affect the rest of the defense? Maybe the stuff that you called, or how the guys played in particular?
Andrew, we play a lot of press anyway, right? So I think we were a little bit more. I think we were focused more on trying to stay in press coverage more, and not get out of it against certain looks than we have been. I felt like our corners matched up really good with their receivers. Our 2 corners, and Chapman too. They're good. They're better at the line of scrimmage. And so I think that was part of it. It was more just like, hey, look, we weren't going to, even though like it was 3rd and 10, we were still going to play press. And I think we got 1 pass interference call, and so I thought it was pretty good, to play that much press and only get 1, pass interference called. So
was it considerably more, or because he made a point of bringing it up, and I'm just kind of curious what the breakdown was there.
I don't know if it was considerably more, but it was more. Andrew, we play press a lot, dude.
Well, I know. He brought it up, and it seemed like it was a little bit more.
No, like there's certain things that offenses can do to get you nervous about press, right? And against Duke, we weren't going to let that bother us as much. We were going to stay in press, I guess, is the main point.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Aaron Beard, go ahead.
Hey, Jay, it was a pretty big swing in terms of performance from Georgia Tech to Duke. Do you have a pretty good handle on what this team defense is? I mean, if there's that kind of level of extremes from not so good to really good.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron, we talk to our guys all the time about not being like results driven, that like how you play and how you do your job is more important than the result. If I play corner and I play press man and I do a really good job and they run it and get 12, like that doesn't mean that was a bad snap for me. And so I think the thing we did against Duke, I thought we tackled on the perimeter better, and I thought we were way better on 3rd downs. And when you're really good on 3rd downs and you tackle on the perimeter, right, you eliminate the chances they get to get explosive plays. So obviously the first play of the first half and the first play of the second half were awful, but other than those 2 plays, I really felt like we we were in the right fit. We tackled well, and we didn't make as many mistakes. And so, yeah, I mean, Aaron, the Georgia Tech game, I didn't do a very good job, right? And so, I kind of, like I think everybody should do when something's not successful. You start with yourself, right? And so I said, okay, like I need to do these are things that we do better. These are things that I think structurally or that we execute better, and I need to do this more. And I think that showed up Saturday.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Greg Barnes.
Jay, I was just hoping you could kind of expound a little bit on what Miles Murphy and Kevin Hester are bringing you up front.
Yeah. I think Miles is playing a really high level. He's disruptive. He's really hard to block one-on-one, Greg, and so it affects the rest of the defense. And then I think Kevin Hester's just, I was talking to, Brick Haley, who's working with us, helping with us, and I was like, Hester only played 1 year of high school football, so like, I think there's still a lot of room for growth with him, but I mean, they're big kids that can run and are athletic. I mean, they're starting to play like we think they're really capable of. And I think they have a really bright future.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
CL Brown.
Hey, Jay, you alluded to Cameron Kelly kind of making improvements and being one of the better players. What clicked for him? When would you say, you kind of saw him turn the corner?
CL, I thought he was a little bit up and down a year ago. And when he played really well, he played really well. And then when he didn't, obviously it was the opposite. And then I thought in the spring, he had a good spring. I thought some other guys had better springs. We talked about it, and then I thought really in the summer, I thought he had a great summer, and I thought he was playing really well. And I just, I wasn't playing him enough. It was hard to take some of those other guys off. And so after Georgia Tech, I said, look, I just gotta, he deserves to play more. We need him to play more. And the thing Cam does, obviously he played great Saturday, right? I think, the interception was a great play. He tackled really well. The other thing about Cam is he is really, really bright. And so, he can organize us and get us into the right calls and help get everything ironed out there. And I think that really helped us Saturday too. So I was really proud of him.
I wanted to ask you about targeting. Have you done anything different I feel like on one hand, we've had enough time now to where this has been an emphasis and kids should know how to tackle without their head. But on the other hand, it almost seems like it's still an instinctive kind of play when you have to make certain kind of tackles. How do you go about trying to just relay that to your guys?
Yeah. So we talk about the strike zone and where we hit all the time. We talk about where our aiming points are. The problem, CL, especially I coach as safeties, like the problem for those guys is I don't think the officials understand. I know the fans don't understand how fast those people are moving. And so when I'm 15 yards away from a guy and I'm driving a ball and there's a receiver who's running a route, like I don't think you understand how fast those kids are moving. And so, as the trajectory of the ball changes, all of a sudden, right now you're in a situation where I'm going to make a play, they're going to make a play, and that's when it happens. And so, look, I mean, the game is much safer than it once was. When I grew up, there were guys like Jack Tatum and guys like that. I mean, those guys were, that was legit back then, right? So the game's changed, right? It's made it safer. I think it's made it better for people to play longer. And so, I mean, that you have to change with the game. I think the unfair part with targeting is some of those bang plays when a kid is not trying to, necessarily, injure somebody or take a shot to the head. Against Georgia Tech with Trey Morrison, Trey wasn't trying to hit that kid and they ended up overturning it. The ball thrown over the middle was a bang play and they got to officiate it. So, but absolutely you have to change how you coach, especially I think the second, third level defenders on in cutting routes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Gregory Hall.
Hey Jay, Cedric Gray, since kind of rotating with Eugene Asante, has very much excelled and is one of your best defenders so far as grading out. Just what have you seen out of him and just his development so quickly, it seems like? Yeah,
I mean, I've been impressed with him since he got here. And I mean, first of all, I think he's really athletic. He can run. He's a high school receiver, so I think all those things are in place. And then I think he is a really cerebral kid. He can play Mike and Will, you know. We put him outside some. I mean, he really is a bright kid. And so I think you factor all those in, and then I think he's a kid that plays with a physical edge. And I couldn't be happier with him. I think he's got there's another, you know, a lot of the kids we're talking about are sophomores, right? There's a lot of sophomores with really bright futures.
And how are you scouting this Florida State offense? I mean, they're running the ball at a very efficient rate, but then the passing game and the turnover rates just aren't there. So just how do you defend a team that can give you one thing and then there are other things that are just struggling?
Yeah, I mean, the two quarterback, like we were just talking about it before I came out down here. Like the two quarterbacks are so different. You know, it's really intriguing. Like most teams you play, you know, if there's two quarterbacks, like there's a little bit of a difference. With these guys, it's a pretty significant difference. So I think you have to have a plan for both quarterbacks. Obviously, last year, you know, Jordan Travis, we had a hard time tackling him. So that's an emphasis for us. But yeah, I mean, you know, I think, you know, Coach Norvell and those guys, they do a great job in the run game. You know, every week's a different run attack, you know, so you've got to be able to, you know, count on your kids to figure things out a little bit as the game goes on. I think that'll be a real key to us, is like our kids being able to identify what they're getting and read their keys and handle the adjustments that needed in the run game.
All right, we'll close up today with Ross Martin. Go ahead, Ross.
Hey, Coach, and try to get you to talk about every player in your secondary. Trey Morrison, I feel like we haven't talked about him much, even in the offseason and during the season, but he plays almost as much as anybody for you on defense, and then had the big scoop and score. What can you say about his leadership, his play the season for you at safety?
Yeah, I've been really proud of him. You know, a year ago, we had to move him kind of from nickel to safety. And, yeah, he was fine, but he didn't do a great job kind of running the show back there, being the communicator, being the leader that I expected from him. We had some hard talks in the offseason about, like, look, you know, athletically, it's not I mean, Trey Morrison's a really athletic kid. He's physical. He can play man coverage. He's really good. I said, you need to take the next step forward as a leader and as a guy that communicates and runs the show back there. And I feel like he's done a really good job with that. And I thought Saturday did a really good job. You know, they gave us some stuff early that he ironed out for us. And, you know, I think, you know, the fumble, we tell our kids to scoop and score every fumble, right? Make them blow it dead. And I think if he hadn't have scooped it, they probably would have blown it dead, you know? So I think that's just another example of Trey, you know, being a veteran and being a leader. And you're right. He plays the most, I think, you know, so, and there's a reason for that. You know, he's a guy we trust and can play along a lot of snaps. He plays at a high velocity, most snaps. And when we look at all the stuff Hess gives us, and Trey, you know, he's in good shape. He can play a lot. So, you know, I mean, I'm really, really impressed with how he's taken on a leadership role because he's really the only older kid we got back there.
All right, Coach, thanks for a few minutes today. Appreciate it.
Thanks.